Bro, if AEW ever drew a larger audience than them, now they're embarrassed.
Yeah.
Now Vince is embarrassed. Now it's Vince's ego. Bro, a perfect example. Like, if you would have had Brock this entire time undefeated, you would have done the Hogan, or you would have this entire time, nobody beat Rock. Then 50-50 Big E beats Brock.
Exactly.
Oh, now you've got something, but not, Dolph was heavy and New Day and this and that and and it's like, okay, bro, I hate to say this, we've got another Drew McIntyre on our hands.
Yeah. Man, I don't think it's very hard to argue with that. I really think it is, because I think that's really kind of the fabric that we see with the WWE. That's the reason why their product doesn't stand out anymore, because no one's being booked to be a star. I mean, like, tried and true, like, pro wrestling booking is the heels get the heat, all the wins, they get dominant wins, they get all the heat. They're like, oh man, they're running roughshod, now they're champions. Oh my gosh, who's going to stop this guy? He's just plowing through all the talent, through everybody. Oh, wait a minute, here's someone who can stop him. Oh, wait a minute, you know what? I think it was Starrcade 93 that Flair went against Vader. And Vader was just plowing through everybody. He went against Sting, went against Cactus Jack. He was just plowing through everybody. And so Ron Simmons the year before, and Flair came back. He was in the WWE in '92. He came back as a babyface, and he went against Vader. Vader was just plowing through. He was just the mastodon. Well, that was the WWE thing, but he was big fan Vader. He was just mounting this guy, shoot side, punches to everybody, just knocking them silly. Flair comes in, just he played he had more of a white meat baby face role this time, getting people over. WCW was having some issues. They're like, you know what, man, we need Flair to be in this role for now. And so that match at Starrcade 93, it's so pivotal. It's so memorable. It's such a stamp in WCW history, or pro wrestling history, because the heel was so dominant at the time. And Flair comes in. It was some type of weird looking pin. He tripped him and just kind of pull his leg up a little bit. But it didn't even matter how he won, though. The big celebration came at the end. Flair won. Same thing when he beat Harley. Harley was, Harley, talking about Starrcade, 83, right? It was 10 years before. Beats Harley. Harley was just, putting bounties on people, you know what I mean? And Harley was the man, had the diving headbutt, and he was just a rugged shoot. No one wants to mess with him. Flair comes in, beats the dominant heel. And it's just like, why is that not the framework when it comes to pro wrestling writing? Because one, it gives us that buy-in. We're like, we want to see this person, and it makes heels. And like, I was watching AEW, and I was just like, man, you know what? I love MJF. Like, he is one of the best just people in all of pro wrestling. Why? Because I love to hate the guy. Like, he goes around. He was talking about Pillman's family. He was looking down on the mat, pretend he's talking to Brian Pillman. I'm like, man, a lot of that stuff is really risque nowadays. But when I was watching Dynamite, I was like, I smiled. I was like, and I said it out loud when I was watching. I was like, heat. Like this is heat. I don't care how controversial it is. It's all, I mean, and the very fact that you're generating that much heat. He was talking about armpits, like New Jersey being the armpit of America. And I'm just like, this is it right here.
Yeah.
And Brian Pillman Jr., he was booked in AEW, and he's been he's a tag team with the Varsity Blondes. He hasn't really been. I mean, to be Pillman's son, he hasn't been booked very strongly. And over the past few weeks, just because he's been paired up in an angle with MJF, his stock is shot through the roof now. And it's like, that's exactly what I'm talking about. You've got the heel who's got so much heat, and MJF, he's only lost like once or twice, and in 2 years of AEW. And that's the type of stuff I'm talking about. That's what makes baby faces. And when you're really in a character, you want both characters to succeed, because the heel, even if he loses, he still comes as the on top. He comes being over, because you have the baby face who's like people's thunderous ovation. And the louder the ovation for the baby face who beats the heel, the better the heel should feel, because he's the one who generated the heat for the fans to give him a pop.
And here's another thing you never see anymore, Chris. Chris, when that baby face finally overcame the heel, what did the heel do like that next time out? There was the excuse.
Exactly.
Heenan was given the excuse. There was always an excuse. And like, you kind of half bought the excuse. Bro, nobody makes excuses for losing anymore.
Right.
Nobody.
Oh, man, you know what? You got me. I had pneumonia that day.
Crazy. I mean, there was always the excuse, bro. Nothing no more, bro.
I found out the next day I had COVID.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Mike, and I wrestled that whole match with COVID. I mean, why did that disappear? You know?
Yeah. I mean, it just it's really. And here's my last thing before we close up, just to kind of fit this back into the Big E problem with how they're booking Big E with the 50-50. Why do you think that the WWE don't recognize stuff like that, or don't consider stuff like that with really putting people over? Do you think the WWE will ever be in a position where they're like, you know what? Okay, we know that we're sabotaging our product, but all this 50-50 crap. And there's a lot of people who's talked about it. Malachi Black was recently in an interview talking about, he was recently, I think it was on his Twitch or something like that. He was on some interview. He was talking about the 50-50 stuff. Like, this is an ongoing thing. Foley's talked about that recently, on just a regular, or on a video, just talking about that stuff. And so, like, WWE's being, like, unfortunately plagued with the notion of 50-50 booking. Do you think this will ever be an intention of WWE to kind of overhaul their booking and try to build characters and put some longevity in characters? I think that's the big thing, the longevity factor. Time out on Writing with Russo. Here we go, Joey.
Time out, Joey. Time out, Joey.
Okay, Chris, here's the bottom line, bro. Here's the bottom line. They're doing this atrocious 50-50 booking. Everybody knows they're doing a 50-50 booking. Nobody's getting over.
Yep.
And they're making more money than they've ever made in their history. So do they care? Are they going to change anything? No.
Even if they start seeing the stocks, like if they see the stockholders, I mean, the stockholders they basically hear what they tell them. They can just fudge up numbers, like when they bring Legends back and, bring Hogan and the well of Legends back, the pop a rating over 2.0 now. And that, like, if you think about that, Vince, they bring Legends back nowadays to pop a 2.0 rating, Vince. Like, think about that. As someone, I am next to someone who was a writer at the most highest rated moment in WWE and WWF at the time history. They bring in, like, in 2021, Vince, they bring in Legends to pop a 2.
Yep. Chris, let me tell you what's the only thing that would ever change this. The only chance in hell, and I told you, bro, I reached out to Vince. Bro, the only chance in hell that they would ever tap into me, one reason and one reason only, and I'll tell you what it is, bro. Bro, if AEW ever drew a larger audience than them, now they're embarrassed. Now Vince is embarrassed. Now it's Vince's ego. All the money and all the deals, bro, that does not supersede his ego. So if all of a sudden you've got Tony Khan drawing, now he's embarrassed.
Yeah.
Now the money, the deals, the Fox, the Peacock, the this, the that doesn't mean anything.
And Mark's gonna, Khan's gonna tweet about it. That one week when Dynamite passes Raw.
Yep.
Tony Khan is going to tweet about it.
Exactly. And Vince is going to see that and he's going to be embarrassed and the ego is going to kick in and okay, now we need to look at this. But until that happens, nah.
Yeah, good point. Good point. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I know one person who he's an angel, man. He doesn't have any ego at all. I know a guy. His name
Joey?
No, Joey. Joey is Joey's an angel, man. Because Jason Kidd, he runs to Joey. He says timeout, but I'm talking about this guy right here, man. Vince Russo. And I appreciate Vince Russo. I think you made some really, really good points. And it's part of me that is kind of intrigued. I kind of want AEW to like surpass Raw for like 1 week at least. Just to see where it goes, man.
I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you. Yeah.
Well, he's Vince Russo. I'm Dr. Chris Featherstone. This is Writing with Russo. So long.